Super excited about our next speaker, Charlene, who is the Chief Operating Officer at BitPesa. I got to know BitPesa a little bit better in recent months. I met with the CEO, Elizabeth, in Istanbul. We were both speaking at a conference. But prior to that, like many people in this space, I had heard a lot about BitPesa. And just I think all of us get excited about the concept. Everybody talks about doing something in Africa, but very few actually are doing it. And I said to Charlene the other day, she mentioned that I had a little bit of a background in development. Not exactly. I do have some clients that work a little bit in development, and my exposure to development is enough. I'm by no means an expert, but my exposure is enough to I have enough knowledge to know what I don't know, which is a lot. And most people don't have that. Most people don't know what they don't know. So I am a step ahead of them. At least I know enough to know what I don't know, which is significant. It is much, much harder to do things in frontier markets like Kenya than people realize. There are all kinds of challenges that you don't have in the world. However, there are also all kinds of opportunity that we don't have elsewhere as well. And one of the things that impresses me a lot about the BitPesa team, and hopefully Charlene will talk about this, is the depth. This is not just people who, casually jumped on a plane and said, oh, we're going to go do this neat thing that will get a lot of publicity. They are a very, very serious, very professional team with a lot of depth, a lot of people from companies like JP Morgan, and also, like this part of the world, although Dubai has changed a lot since I first came here. Dubai used to be considered a hardship post, not any longer. It used to be the place that you would go and leave. Now people stay. But it's still like that some other places in the region. But Kenya is even more challenging. So to get a team that actually is experienced in working in these markets, that has the knowledge and depth, is unusual. And doubly unusual in our space. So it's really exciting. And as I mentioned a couple times, everybody is interested in BitPesa. A lot of people love what they're doing, want to learn more about it. We don't have a ton of opportunity because they're not in a location that easily allows them to go to things like the Texas Bitcoin Conference due to the time that it takes and because they're so busy doing all kinds of interesting things. So I'm really excited to hear from Charlene and hope you will be also. So thanks very much, Charlene.
Good afternoon, everyone. Is this working? Can you hear me okay? Great. Well, thanks again so much, Bruce, for the really warm welcome. And I just have to say, having been to a couple other Bitcoin conferences, this one has been the warmest. They say that you're not supposed to talk about money, religion, or politics with strangers, but I found that within hours we were talking about all three. So great conversations, and I'm really grateful for this chance to tell you about BitPesa. And I'm proud to represent Bitcoin in Africa, which isn't getting a ton of traction, but enough to be proud of. Okay, let's make sure this clicker is working. Great. So let me start by talking about the issues. There are a lot of things going on in Africa, but I'm going to highlight a problem with remittances. So if you take a look at this graph, there's a huge super tax on money transferred into the region. So this is a graph of the average percent cost of transferring $200 into the region. You may not be able to see the small print, but the blue line at the top represents Africa, and that represents a loss of 1.4 billion US dollars. Then you can see the global average creates a loss of 0.9 million. So that's a huge, huge, huge factor of multiple factor. So the African market is the most distorted. So the average cost to send $100 is about 12%, which is double the global average of 6%. This is 3 times more than the cost of sending money to Southeast Asia or South America. So if you think it's just a developing country problem, look at other regions. What causes this extreme cost? It's really that there are no options outside of formal banks or Western Union. Why? There's tremendous monopolies in the banking sector. There's outdated regulation. The super tax is even higher within Africa. If you take a look at these tables, you can see on the left-hand side Africa's most expensive bank remittance corridors. Tanzania and Kenya are literally bordering each other, and the average cost of fees is 24%. Look on the right-hand side, and this highlights Africa's most expensive mobile network remittance corridors. Ghana and Nigeria, both in West Africa, 39%. So this is a huge, huge market failure. So before I talk about what BitPesa does to address this huge problem, I'm going to show a video that some of you Bitcoiners may have seen that talks about Bitcoin in Uganda. Because these are statistics, it's easy to say, ooh, there's a huge problem, but let's really talk about, let's put a face to the problem.
My name is Sovarna, and I'm 20 years old. I'm studying bachelor's in accounting and finance. I like money, first of all, and I like business. Yeah. My family lives right here in Makindi. Yeah, my mom, my big sister, my brother, and me. Stay.
My name is Rona Nsuga. Rona is my younger brother. I live in Brookline, Massachusetts, and I'm from Kampala, Uganda.
She moved there in 2000. give me his wallet address now. Send to this wallet address now so that I give you hard cash Uganda shillings.
And that's how beautiful a remittance market can work. As long as there's any demand in Uganda, and there is, and it's hard for them to receive it, they become person-to-person exchanges.
Right now in Uganda, so far, not a lot of people know about Bitcoin. Yeah. But for me, I use Bitcoin because I know somewhere I can sell Bitcoin. When my sister or my sister's fiance send me money via Bitcoin, I save a lot of money.
A cell phone in Uganda for a year is cheaper than the banking fees you get for a year.
Yeah.
So Bitcoin fits right in there. Cell phones are really all their technologies. They listen to their music on it. They communicate with it. To add banking basically for free, well, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I can send you money through Bitcoin. That was really possible and so instant too.
You know, remittances is $500 billion a year in the world. I think it's $500 billion a year because it's so expensive. Okay, so imagine if it was, we could send 20 bucks.
I think if we have a currency that's not controlled by the government, everyone will be equal. That's how it will be.
Great. So I can't take credit for that, producing that video, but I think it does a great job of highlighting just the way that Bitcoin can be used in sub-Saharan Africa, and this kind of puts a face to the statistics that I just showed you. Okay. So one of the things that you guys may not know, if you have seen that video, is that Ronald received more money using via Bitcoin into his multi-bit wallet, but he couldn't find that trader. That trader stopped trading with him. So Ronald ended up with Bitcoin in his wallet, and then he had nowhere to cash it out. So this is the easiest way for me to show you what BitPesa does, is we're not asking for every African to have a Bitcoin wallet. That would be amazing, and we dream of a world where you can transfer Bitcoin to Bitcoin into Africa. Until that widespread mainstream adoption happens, we believe strongly that there's a need for localized exchanges in developing countries. And so that's what BitPesa is bringing to sub-Saharan Africa. Essentially, BitPesa is the digital forex broker for Africa. So you can see from this diagram, essentially the sender sends Bitcoin to BitPesa via our online website, and then we disperse local African fiat currencies, such as the Kenyan shilling, which is represented by KES, within minutes to any mobile money wallet in Kenya or to any bank account in Kenya within 1 day. So we're essentially using Bitcoin for efficiency. We currently only accept Bitcoin as a payment. We would like to say that we're digital currency agnostic, but right now we're only accepting Bitcoin. We don't charge a service fee. We're very frustrated by the way that Western Union and MoneyGram have explicit fees, but then they also hide a hidden forex fee. So we're very keen on transparency. So our exchange margin is 3%, all inclusive. We guarantee payment confirmation within minutes. And as I said before, we do direct deposit into any mobile money or bank account in Kenya. I won't talk too much about the value-added services that we're offering, but this is more than a service for individuals. We're also working with merchants and NGOs in Africa who receive international payments. So this table shows an example of the ways in which we can severely undercut our competitors. So if you look at the line that's representing Western Union, payments from the US have an explicit fee of 7%, but you add in the hidden forex margin of 3%, and you get a 10% fee. It's a little bit cheaper from the UK, so 5% explicit fee with a 1% Forex margin. There are many Africans who receive international payments via PayPal, but there's really no way to cash out into local currency. In Kenya, there is a product, but the fees cost about 7 to 8%, and it takes about 5 to 8 days to cash out. So this is hardly a quick solution. You know, I'm not going to talk too much about the statistics around the unbanked, but I think you wouldn't be surprised to know that very few Africans have bank accounts. But even if you did have a bank account and wanted to receive international money, a bank wire could charge you a flat fee of $25 to $50 plus a Forex fee of 4% and takes 5 to 7 days. So what we're really offering is a huge improvement to our incumbents. In terms of compliance, even though there's currently no regulation on digital currency in Kenya, we abide by EU anti-money laundering and know your customer regulations. We do not currently solicit US clients, and we also integrate the leading ID verification software. And we also work alongside Kenyan regulators. So I'm not going to do a live demo, but I do encourage those of you guys who are on their laptops to check out our website. And if you don't have anyone that you know in Kenya, you can use our NGO donation functionality. But I'm just going to walk you through some screenshots of how our site works. So essentially on the home page, you would indicate how much you wish to send. It's currently showing pounds because we ran our pilot in the UK. But really, this is just a reference currency. Once you've put in the currency amount, we ask you to either log in if you have an existing account or sign up. And this is basic know your customer information, such as your email address, legal name, physical address, and date of birth. So now you can see up at the top of our screen, there's a quote. So if you were sending £1, your recipient in Kenya will receive 144 shillings. And then we tell you how much Bitcoin you need to send to us. If you already have the person stored in your address book, then you could just select their contact details. If not, then you simply put in the name of the recipient, their email address, and their mobile money number. After you've selected the recipient, then we will display a QR code, essentially like a mini invoice that tells you exactly how much Bitcoin to send and where to send it. So you'll take your mobile phone and scan the QR code, or if you have a desktop wallet, it will actually automatically select your Bitcoin wallet. I think Garrett showed that earlier. So within seconds, we issue a confirmation message that says, we got it. We've received your Bitcoin, and we're processing the transaction. And then, minutes later, your recipient will receive Kenyan shillings in their mobile money account. So in Kenya, that's predominantly M-Pesa. So, just to recap, this is incredibly revolutionary. So whether I'm in Antarctica or Timbuktu, as long as I've got Bitcoins and an internet connection, I can send money to Kenya. And someone will receive not Bitcoin on the other side, but Kenyan shillings. Now, you might be wondering, what can they do once they have the mobile money? Is that the same problem that Ronald had, where he had Bitcoins in his phone and nowhere to spend it? Well, actually, mobile money is incredibly prevalent in Kenya. So for example, I use mobile money to top up my gas, top up my airtime, pay my electricity bill, pay back friends for dinner. So the fact that we can receive Bitcoin and turn it into money that can actually be spent minutes later is revolutionary. This is a screenshot of our dashboard, so you can track any transaction that you've sent, so that if you want to send the same person money later, you can do so. We also are very, very keen on great customer service. So because we're located in Nairobi, we have a Kenyan customer service line, so we're able to really provide strong customer service. And this results in very happy customers. So just to share a little bit about our team, I'm very, very proud to be representing a team of 10 from around the globe with very diverse experiences. So you can see our CEO, who regretted not being able to be here. She worked at Credit Suisse. I used to work at Deloitte. Our CTO, Bob, is ex-Google. Our CFO, Amy, comes from JP Morgan, so it does show that even bankers can see the light. You may have met Mincy, my colleague who's also here at the conference, who worked at PwC. Mawuli, who hails from Ghana and used to run, for those of you guys who were following Katiwa, he ran that Bitcoin exchange there. We've got Nick, who used to work at Accenture. John Karanja, who's a Kenyan, who has a lot of expertise in digital marketing and direct marketing. And Will, who worked on the site design for Bitcoin.org and blockchain. So we're really, really proud of our team. I think it's incredible diversity of not only technical expertise, but business expertise. And among the executive team, we have local knowledge. Collectively, we have about 15 years of experience working in East Africa. We're also proud to be backed by a strong set of investors. I'm sure most of you guys will recognize Barry Silbert from the Bitcoin Opportunity Corporation. Joseph Masheru, who leads Google's East Africa operations and is the Sub-Saharan Google ambassador. Duncan Goldie Scott, who is a serial entrepreneur and investor, who's also the chairman of a branchless microfinance institution called Musoni. And Jalak Jobanputra from Future Perfect Ventures. In terms of traction, we've got dual incorporation in Kenya and the Cayman Islands. As I said, we have a full-time team of 10 plus 5 consultants, so we're growing quickly. Our beta site, which I showed you screenshots of, went live in May 2014. We've got a growing customer base across the globe, and we're strongly positioned to expand across East and West Africa due to our wealth of local expertise. So here's my contact information if you haven't gotten my business card. Our website is www.bitpesa.co, and you can follow us on Twitter or Facebook. So I'll pause here and take any questions you may have. Oh, I think I saw it here.
Hey, so a couple of questions. First, how long did it take you to iterate towards a user experience that actually got a decent conversion rate? Because it's kind of hard to get people to like get it, right? That's the first question. The second question is, how are you doing in terms of volume and total accounts? If you're sure.
So I think in terms of developing a strong UX, I mean, we're quite keen on rapid iteration. So instead of kind of making the site perfect and doing a lot of A/B testing, we just put it out there. So I started with initial beta clients. So I recruited a number of clients from within Kenya through our network and also abroad. So I spent a lot of time in the UK to line up beta testers. And that's how we got our initial feedback that went into the beta site design. As for traction, a lady never reveals her exact traction volume, but we can talk offline.
You talked about expansion across other parts of Africa. Do you require mobile money to be in place in those markets to then expand?
Great question. So I think ideally we would we think the fastest way to scale and traction is in markets where there's mobile money penetration. So of course, with Kenya, that's a given. It's not in every sub-Saharan African market. If there is not a high penetration of mobile money, then we would certainly be looking for partnerships with switches. So if not a telecom, then bank switches.
So I know you said that there's no particular regulatory guidance from the Kenyan government, or what do you expect and what's your approach regarding compliance, and especially going forward and having to operate or planning on operating in really diverse African countries?
Sure. I mean, so our policy is really to let central banks make them aware of what we're doing, so that there are no surprises. we've found in our experience that there isn't a great awareness of digital currency, unsurprisingly. But as I mentioned, in the absence of regulation, which may come in some time, it's not clear how long, then we will just abide by global anti-money laundering and know your customer regulations. So we abide by the EU. So for example, your first transaction, there's very little KYC. But on your second transaction, we ask you to upload a scan of your passport.
For like traditional remittance or bank operations in Kenya, are they pretty much going on the template from the EU for their KYC and all requirements?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not an expert on banking regulations and requirements, but I do understand that they have to abide by certain regulations, and in order to have a banking license with the central bank, you must abide by those. Okay, sorry.
Why don't you solicit American customers?
Yeah, so you may have seen from our core team, many of us are American, and we're working in East Africa. So, just because the U.S. has shown, I'd say, a fairly conservative approach to digital currency, until there's more clarity on what the U.S. stands on, we're just going to not solicit U.S. clients.
I have two questions. One, why don't you take the fiat money? You said you only take Bitcoin. Okay, why don't you take fiat money? Two, you are registered as what? Is it as an MSB, that's a money service business like a transmitter, or you are registered as a payment service provider?
Sure. So the first question is, why don't we accept fiat? And that's kind of related to the second question, which is about regulation. So in order to accept fiat, then that pretty clearly puts you under regulation around money transmission. So if you're receiving fiat currency and sending it somewhere else, then you need to be regulated as a money remitter. And as I said, because the central bank does not currently regulate digital currency, we don't require a money remittance business license. Paul.
How is it you managed to get so many women to participate not only at the executive level, but at the investment level, as well as the boots on the ground level, when the rest of us have a real hard time just getting a woman to show up at the office?
Discrimination.
Well, I don't think it's discrimination. We would certainly much rather work with women than the guys. Well, it's just the way it is. Do you have any? Is it just what happened, or what?
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret that our CEO, Elizabeth, is one of the few female CEOs in the Bitcoin industry, or fintech in general is, as you guys know, very male-dominated. And then, yeah, I think Elizabeth really was excited to have other female leaders on board. So, yeah, our exec team is 75% women. Of our team, we comprise, I guess, 40 to 50% now. So, yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, certainly attracted to having a female CEO. We work very well together. But yeah, I am perfectly comfortable, having been a computer science major, still nonetheless to be in this room. But yeah, no special sauce. We're just lucky.
I basically have two questions. First of all, a year ago was another attempt, I think, Kipochi wallet. They were working with M-Pesa, and then they were complaining that M-Pesa stopped everything to them. Do you have any idea about that, or how do you?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to speak on behalf of Pele, who runs Kipochi still to this day, which I think you can still access the wallet. From what I do understand is that the M-Pesa didn't know, or Safaricom was not aware that Kipochi was accepting payments via M-Pesa and vice versa. So Safaricom is well aware that we exist and what we're doing, and really Bitcoin isn't entering into Kenya, so we're essentially just using M-Pesa to pay out Kenyan shillings. So really, they're not even touching Bitcoin.
Second question. No, actually, I forgot.
What are you doing to promote your service to Kenyans abroad and other people who want to send money to Kenya, but of course are not maybe part of your marketing strategy that's happening within Kenya? So what are you actually doing abroad for it?
So we do a combination. Our marketing mix is both digital as well as direct. So as I mentioned earlier, I spend a lot of time in the UK meeting with Kenyans from the diaspora community. So I attend a lot of those events. We have kind of what I would call community mobilizers that kind of help us spread the word from a marketing standpoint and also onboard clients. So I'd say it's a combination of digital and direct marketing.
I remember. I just want to ask, you mentioned that Western Union and MoneyGram has monopoly. Is it a legal monopoly or just current market state? Because I know, for example, in Turkmenistan, there is a law that only Western Union operates in the whole country. So there is a legal monopoly, you cannot do anything. If you try to compete, they just give you to court and take it to court.
Yeah, I have heard that as well. You know, I can't say that I know exactly like per country. You know, I don't know of that being a restriction in Kenya itself, which I know best. But yeah, so I'm not sure.
So I think I heard that you're planning to expand to other parts of Africa. What is your expansion plan and kind of time frame for that?
Yeah, I'd say within Q1 of next year, you will hear news of us expanding in East Africa. We're not quite ready to announce that or make that public yet. But yeah, we're also looking at West Africa. But I would say our core focus and our core competency is within Sub-Saharan Africa. Great. Any last questions? If not, I'd be happy to speak with you afterwards. And definitely as a call to action, we'd love for you guys to experience BitPesa. So like I said, if you don't know anyone in Kenya to send money to, although you're welcome to send it to my M-Pesa number, we think it would be a great Christmas present to the 3 charities that we're currently working with in Kenya to receive some Bitcoin donations from here in Dubai. But thank you so much.